like to tell you about the Canadian Martyrs Men's Conference held February 18th, 2023 in Stratford, Ontario, Canada. If you click the link in the description, you can find the information regarding this event. It is a traditional Catholic men's conference. Priests are speaking, I'm speaking, my friend Al Smith is speaking. There will be fellowship, there will be men only, and there will be 3 catered meals along with cigars. You can't beat that. Visit the link in the description to go to the Canadian Martyrs Men's Conference. Enjoy the video. Happy Feast Day of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Guadalupe has an amazingly important place in my life. I can tell you that I would not be a practicing Catholic today if it was not for Our Lady of Guadalupe. You can read about that in my book, Terror of Demons, Reclaiming Traditional Catholic Masculinity, where a trip down to Mexico, specifically on a mission trip to the shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe, absolutely changed my life for the better, and things have never been the same. So this day is very special to me. I was born Catholic or baptized as an infant, and but was not really raised Catholic, nominally so. And as the Protestants like to say, that day in Mexico, so many years ago, I can't keep the rhyme going, but that day in Mexico so many years ago would be the day where I would say, if I were a Protestant, I was born again. It was a very special time for me. And I owe Our Lady of Guadalupe my whole being without reserve. And I'm very grateful for that. Now, there's a history of there's a history about Our Lady of Guadalupe that is actually deeper, or let's say adds another layer to the history of the image itself. So if you don't know the history of the image, we're not going to go through that here, but you should really look it up. It's a miraculous thing. It's absolutely amazing. The miracles themselves are just unbelievable. However, one thing that is interesting is that if you look at the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe, what do you see? You see that she's standing on a crescent moon. Now, we know from Revelation that, there's standing on the moon, crowned with the stars, that sort of thing. So for sure, there's that. But there's actually another layer to it. You see, the crescent moon is actually, if you look at the image, it's portrayed in the same way that the crescent moon as the symbol of Islam is portrayed. Now, there's a history between Our Lady of Guadalupe and Islam. And you might be thinking to yourself, what does something in Mexico in the 1500s have to do with Islam all the way across the ocean? I mean, these Aztecs didn't even know what Islam was. That's right, they didn't. But why is it called Our Lady of Guadalupe? Now, there is evidence that in the native language of the Aztecs, the term, which I cannot pronounce, that they used actually does sound like Guadalupe. But why did the Spanish recognize this image in Mexico as Our Lady of Guadalupe? Well, in fact, because there is a devotion that goes back longer in Spain about another Our Lady of Guadalupe. It's all the same Virgin Mary, but the actual devotion being slightly different. And it's called Our Lady of Guadalupe in Extremadura. And this is from the Castile region of Spain. And in fact, as Providence would have it, Christopher Columbus made a pilgrimage to this particular devotion before he headed over the sea to the New World. Now, the history goes something like this. Essentially, as the Muslims invaded Spain, churches were destroyed, Christians were persecuted, so on and so forth. Part of Islam is what's called iconoclasm, which means sort of, you can't have any images of what are considered to be sacred things. Like you can't have images of God and whatever. So one of the things that the Spaniards did that wanted to keep their faith is they actually hid their statues and their images. And one of those statues was hidden, and it wasn't discovered for centuries. But centuries later, Our Lady appeared and revealed where this statue was. And she revealed that it was actually found on the banks of a place called, you guessed it, the Guadalupe River. Now, this word Guadalupe, we think of it as a Spanish word, but it's actually a combination of a Mexican or of Arab words for river and for wolf. So it basically means Wolf River. Now, given the historical context, this image of Our Lady standing on the crescent moon, this would have been seen as eminently providential, because there's an idea there that Our Lady will be instrumental in converting Muslims to Christianity, to Catholicism. Now, within 40 years, fast forward, within 40 years of the apparitions in Mexico, we have the Battle of Lepanto. And what is the Battle of Lepanto? Well, the Battle of Lepanto is this battle between the Muslim Turkish Empire, the Ottoman Empire, and Europe. And it looked like Europe was going to be done for. It looked like Christendom was essentially going to be done for. This was a very tumultuous time. I mean, we had the Protestant revolt about, 30 or 40, 50 or 60 years before Lepanto, whatever my math would be there. And lots of Catholics left the church. Of course, many Catholics came into the church in Mexico that sort of made up for it. But Europe itself was shaken, and now you had this moment from this Ottoman Empire seeing Europe on the brink of separating itself into pieces, and they say this is a perfect time to attack. So we all know that, well, maybe you don't, but look it up. There's a story of the Battle of Lepanto. We have the feast day of Our Lady of the Rosary on October 7th because of this. And this was an extremely important day. It was the intercession of the Virgin Mary that it is said basically led Europe to battle. Now, it's not just the intercession of Our Lady in general. It was actually under the patronage of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Maybe you didn't know this part, but Don John of Austria, who was the hero leader in this major battle, he actually had an apparition to Our Lady of Guadalupe in Extremadura. So he was Don John of Austria, but these royal families back then, they'd be of Austria, but born and raised in Spain and things like that. So he had an actual apparition to this Our Lady of Guadalupe. So what happened? Well, the Bishop of Mexico, of the area where I don't know if there was more than one diocese at the time, but where Our Lady of Guadalupe was, sent a replica image of the Mexican apparition to Don John of Austria. And guess what? As they rode into battle, it was this Mexican image which was placed on the flagship of the fleet. At the front of the battle, you could see this image of Our Lady of Guadalupe. So let's do tile the loose ends here. So Our Lady of Guadalupe in Spain, seen as a symbol of how Our Lady will convert the Muslims. That statue's hidden for a long time. It's finally discovered. Christopher Columbus goes to this Spanish Our Lady of Guadalupe statue, which you can look up and find, and basically, entrusts his voyage or prays for success and so on and so forth to her, goes to the Americas. Within short order, Our Lady appears in Mexico City, in what's today called Mexico City. This image is a rendition of the Spanish Our Lady of Guadalupe, which converts the Aztecs, who have no idea that it has to do with Islam. Then within a couple, 3 or 4 decades, there's a battle for the soul of Europe under the threat of a Muslim empire. So this image is on the fleet of the ship leading to the incredible victory. So basically we see Our Lady's providential role in this quest for the conversion of Muslims and for the conversion of the Aztecs and for the defense of Europe. It's all tied in. And last thing we'll say, this also continues with the apparition at Fatima. Fatima is the name of Muhammad's, I believe, favorite daughter. So there's a reality there, and my friend Matt Gasper spoke about this, where Our Lady of Fatima will be instrumental in converting Muslims to the true faith, which we want everyone to convert to the true faith. So it's amazing. It's not just an image. It's not just a miracle. Our Lady of Guadalupe, that apparition of Our Lady, is actually at the center of the history of the Americas, the history of Europe, and the future history of the conversions of all nations to Christ. Pretty amazing. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Have a blessed day. Have a blessed feast day of Our Lady of Guadalupe. This has been the Kennedy Report. Until next time, God bless.